Welcome, everybody, to the 2016 edition of the NFL Grueling Truth Pick'em Show, sponsored by Gridiron Mo. It's an interactive football app where you get to call the plays and see what everybody else has called also. So make sure you check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to welcome in, as always, my co-host. I think we ended up tied for first last year, Matt Andruscavage.
It is 2016 at last. I am so glad that the NFL season is finally here, and now we get to do the Pick'em Show again.
All right, and we have a new addition this year. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I think he has most of his teeth, so we let him on the show. Help me welcome to the show, Brian Schmidt.
Yeah, I actually have all my teeth, which is, pretty good. You really don't see a lot of people that live, Cincinnati Bengals fans have all their teeth. So I'm pretty happy I have all mine.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You're the guys that live next to West Virginia.
No, I live in Texas. So, yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I know, because this is the thing about Steelers fans. Almost none of them live in Pittsburgh because they know how crappy it is in Pittsburgh, so they try to get as far away as they can.
It's not that bad.
Because let's face it, you're not even from Pittsburgh. You're from Ohio.
No, actually, I was born in Pittsburgh, so.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Well, let's see a birth certificate. This is similar to the Barack Obama Kenyan incident with Donald Trump. You're going to have to, by next week, we need to see your birth certificate just to prove that you are an American citizen and not from Pittsburgh.
Well, I can produce that.
All right, so we're going to pick the games. We're going to let you go first, Brian, just because I feel sorry for you for being a Steelers fan. Carolina Panthers at the Denver Broncos.
My feeling is this, and that is Carolina's going to win this game because I just don't feel. I think Denver's going to have a strong defense, but are they going to score enough points? That's going to be the question, and I think Carolina will come out. They definitely want to get that Super Bowl taste out of their mouth and get off to a good start, and I think Carolina's going to win this.
Yeah, but the question I have is this. I mean, if you watched them play in that Super Bowl, can Carolina put up enough points to win the game even if Denver doesn't score a lot?
I think they can. I think this is going to be one of those 17-14 kind of games, but I think they can do enough to win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you. I believe Carolina wins the game also. I don't think Trevor Siemian's going to do much here. Plus, I just don't think Denver's offensive line's that good. Of course, neither's Carolina's, but I'll go with Cam Newton over Trevor Siemian, whoever the hell that is. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I was a little torn on this just because I think the Thursday night game, the home team is like 13-0, some crazy number. They're undefeated, whatever the number is, since they've been doing this. But this is the year I think that trend ends. I think the Panthers have enough offense to put up some points. I don't think they're going to get a lot of points, but I think they got enough offense. Kelvin Benjamin's going to be a factor. I think Greg Olsen opens up enough for him. Their defense is hungry. I just don't think Denver's offensive lines, they definitely declined. Evan Mathis is gone. C.J. Anderson's going to see 8 to 9 man fronts all year long. I just don't think that Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders are going to see the ball very much, or at least they'll see the ball, but it's probably going to be sailing over their heads. So I just see Carolina winning this game.
All right, next game. Matt, we'll let you take this one. The Minnesota Vikings without Teddy Bridgewater at the Tennessee Titans.
Tough game. I think Tennessee is actually not a terrible team. I don't know how many wins they'll actually get, but I think they're going to be a difficult out, at least for sure within their division. But again, in this game, I think I like Minnesota. I think I like Sam Bradford to be play one of those mistake-free games and just not screw it up. Let Adrian Peterson run, and the defense can probably hold Tennessee to like 10 points. So I like Minnesota to win like 20-10.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's got way too much defense for them. I don't think Tennessee addressed their need at wide receiver that much in the offseason, if at all. I'm going to go with Minnesota also. Brian?
I agree. You got to go with Minnesota on this one, although I think it'll be a close game. But
the biggest thing is, as long as Bradford doesn't screw it up, hand the ball off to Peterson and, let your defense win this game. And I think this is a game that they can win, and so I definitely got to go with Minnesota.
And let's face it, that's what they did last year with Teddy Bridgewater, too.
Right. That's the thing. I don't understand the, getting Sam Bradford. Now, I don't think Sam Bradford's a great quarterback. But with Teddy Bridgewater all year long, he was essentially a game manager. He could scramble. He didn't make a lot of really big plays on his own. They were kind of hoping he would do that this year. I don't think Sam Bradford has to do a ton to be what Teddy Bridgewater was last year.
No, but I think you do have the possibility with Bridgewater that this would have been his breakout season. With Bradford, the question is how long can he make it through the season?
Right, that's true.
That's always been his problem. I think he's a really good quarterback. The problem is when you only play a couple games or you get hurt in a preseason almost every year, it doesn't matter how good you are. That will bring us to the Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. I'm going to go with Houston. I think they got a really good defense offensively. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Lamar Miller. Brock Osweiler, well, not the greatest quarterback in the world, is a huge upgrade from what they had last year. I do like the Bears' defense, what they've done there. I think the Bears are a team that could possibly challenge to at least get to 500, but I'm going to go with Houston in this game. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I agree again. I'm going to definitely go with Houston. I just think that, overall, I think they're a better team than Chicago. And I again, the quarterback, how much of an upgrade is he? I definitely think he's an upgrade from what they've had. But, at the end of the day, I think overall, I think Houston's a better team than Chicago, and I definitely feel like they're going to win this game.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I like Houston to win this game, but I don't know. It might be one of those ugly ones. I think Chicago's going to give Osweiler some problems in the first half, but either he'll start playing well in the fourth quarter or the defense will just make some kind of a play on Cutler to put the game away. But I like Houston to win this game at home.
All right, Brian, the battle of the unbeatens, the Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Is this a game where you go ahead and make people you want to torture have to watch this game? There's
a chance for the Browns to be in first place. They haven't done that since, 1912.
That's true, and there's a chance for Philadelphia to win, and, at the end of the day, they go, win one game all year. I don't know. This game's rough. But, at the end of the day, I'm going to go that Cleveland's going to go 1-0, and I'm going to go with Cleveland. Again, just kind of a gut feeling, but I feel like this is a game that Cleveland's going to win, and Philadelphia I think is going to be reeling a little bit. But I have a gut feeling that Cleveland's going to win this game, so I'm going to go with my gut. And if that doesn't work out this week, then next week I'll start.
He's flipping a coin. We know. All right. That's from the CFL Pick'em show. We know that.
No, I use dice now. Works better.
Oh, you use dice? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're a Steelers fan that can count. And you have all your teeth. All right, you're a rarity, Brian. Matt, Cleveland at Philadelphia.
Awful game, but I also
know,
think
it's just like one of your
Cleveland
40. It's like the 49ers are playing, Matt.
Yeah, this week it's not the greatest game. But I think this is a worse game. I think the Cleveland Browns will win this game, not because they're way better than Philly, but I think they got just enough, a little bit more talent to win. It's weird to say that about a Cleveland Browns team, but I think they'll find a way to win this game. I just don't. I think Philly's the worst team in the NFC.
Well, no, the 49ers are. But,
no,
if you look at this,
we're better
Carson
than them.
Wentz against can I talk? Carson Wentz against RG3. I'll take RG3. I think RG3 is going to have a good season. I think the Browns only won 4 or 5 games, but I think he's going to play well. I think he's a good quarterback. I think just Mike Shanahan screwed him up for a while. Next game, Matt, Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. This could be a good game.
I think this will be a good game. Buffalo's got talent. Tyrod Taylor's a good quarterback. LaShawn McCoy, Sammy Watkins. Buffalo's got a decent defense, but I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know what the spread is. I don't know if they're a favorite or not, but I like them at home just because of John Harbaugh at home. I think John Harbaugh can outcoach Rex Ryan in this game. Whether or not Buffalo's a better team or not, or whatever it is, but I think Baltimore's going to win.
All right, Brian.
You know, I got to go with Baltimore again. Just being at home. Yeah, I always feel like Baltimore tends to, games like this, Baltimore tends to always find a way to win, especially at home. And I think Buffalo is going to be a decent team this year, but there's something about Baltimore at home. I just feel like this is a game that they're going to win, so I'm going to go with Baltimore.
We got to quit agreeing on everything, guys.
I know. We're all agreeing on each game so far. I'm sure there's times for disagreement later.
I got to say, Baltimore wins this game. It wouldn't surprise me if Buffalo gets them. I like Tyrod Taylor. I like Sammy Watkins, kind of like the Sam Bradford of wide receivers, can't stay healthy all year. If he can stay healthy all year, they could have a big year. But defensively, I just think Baltimore is better. Joe Flacco's a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor. So I'm going to go with Baltimore in a close game. That brings us, I guess it's my turn, the San Diego Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to go with Kansas City because they're the home team, but I could actually see San Diego winning this. I think Melvin Gordon is going to have a breakout season from last year. I think he's going to play really well. You got Phillip Rivers, but the offensive line was terrible last year. They're a little bit better now. They got some guys back from injuries, but the depth there is a problem. But I think this is a close game. I'm going to go with Kansas City. Matt?
I like San Diego in this game. I think Kansas City is going to take a step backwards this year. For sure, early in the season on defense, they're taking a step backwards. Justin Houston out. Losing Sean Smith, I think, was big in their secondary. And I just don't think they're going to be able to match San Diego's offense. Jamal Charles isn't playing. I don't think Spencer Ware is just going to step in and be Jamal Charles. I think they're going to struggle to put up points. San Diego, on the other hand, I don't think they're going to have any problem putting up points all year long. They got a lot of good receivers. Antonio Gates is still there. And if Melvin Gordon does have the breakout season, I'm not so sure, but we'll see. I hope he does. I like the guy. But I think San Diego, regardless, is going to score a lot of points. All
right, Brian?
I got to agree, and I got to go with San Diego. I just think there's some pretty good firepower there, and I've always been a Phillip Rivers fan. I like what he does. I think he does a real good job managing the game, and when he makes plays, he makes plays. I just feel like Kansas City. I just don't think there's enough firepower there right now, and the one thing that with Kansas City is when they don't have Charles. I see them struggling, and I just think San Diego is going to put some points up, and I think they're going to be consistent putting up points, and they're going to win this game.
All right, Brian, Oakland at New Orleans.
Oh, I gotta go with the Oakland Raiders on this. I think Oakland Raiders are fixing to be that certainly last year. They were improved, but I think they're going to improve upon last year. And I feel like this kind of starts it out. I think offensively, I think they're very good. New Orleans, has shown at times just to be, awful defensively, and if they don't have Breeze picking them up and that offense scoring points, they struggle. And I just think Oakland is a better team, and I think Oakland's going to win this.
Okay, Matt?
Yep, I agree. I think Oakland is a better team here. I think they'll have no problem putting up points. Obviously, Drew Brees is very good offensively. The whole offense is good, but I think Oakland's got enough on defense where they'll be able to slow them down. I think this is like a 31-20 game. So I'm gonna go Oakland and take the win on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders, too. I just don't see the Saints having enough defense. I think it's like a 41-38 game, but I think Oakland just has a little bit more defense. But New Orleans offense, I expect Willie Snead to have a big season this year. Drew Brees always has a big season. But I'm going to agree with you guys to go with Oakland. Matt, Tampa Bay at Atlanta, which I think is one of the better games of the week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little torn on this one because I see Tampa Bay finishing higher in the standings than Atlanta, but I'm just not sure about this particular game because it's on the road, first game of the year. I'm going to go with Atlanta to win the game, but I think down the road Tampa Bay will get it together and finish higher than Atlanta. But I think week one at home, Julio Jones will have a big day, and I think Atlanta will get it done.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Atlanta wins it also, but I also agree with you. I think Tampa Bay in the long run is going to be a contender possibly for a playoff spot this year. Brian?
I'm going to have to disagree with both of you. I'm going with Tampa Bay, and again, it's just a feeling. I feel like Tampa Bay is definitely a potential playoff team this year, and just something that this is a game for Tampa Bay that I think they've got circled for the only reason being is they are a potential playoff team, and I think this is one where you want to get out of the gates quick. And Atlanta, I'm just still not sold on them. I'm still not sold that I think they're going to be a team here soon that if things don't improve, you're going to kind of see a breaking up of the Falcons and kind of starting over because they've just never they never seem to really hit where they want to be. So I'm going with Tampa Bay. I just have a feeling Tampa Bay is going to it's going to be a 27-24 kind of game, and Tampa Bay is going to pull it out.
All right, brings us to the next game. I guess it's my turn. We have probably the greatest team in football history, the Cincinnati Bengals, against the New York Jets in New York. I think this is a great matchup. I think the Jets are probably a top 10 offense and defense. I think they were last year. You look at Marshall and Decker, the wide receivers. I think the one thing, though, with the Jets' defense, I think Revis did show some signs of slipping last year, and I don't think the defensive backfield is going to be the greatest. I think Tyler Boyd will have a big game in this game. I think the Bengals just are a slightly better team. I think talent-wise, they're a deeper team. So I'm going to go with the Bengals to win a close game over the Jets. Brian?
You make me want to throw up in my mouth.
Yeah. Okay. That was disgusting. This is the show that kids listen to, Brian.
Well, that's true, but I'm sure kids understand throwing up in their mouth. But, unfortunately, I have to agree. I got to go with the Bengals. I think that it's going to be a very good game. But, the Bengals, just to me, they're a team. They've got, good offense, good defense, and there's so many people that are not, Andy Dalton fans. And I'll tell you, I think he is, a very good quarterback. Now, is he in the, top tier? Is he in the Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger?
Ben Roethlisberger is not in the Tom Brady spot there.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Tom Brady is by himself.
Yeah, Tom Brady. And then
only Joe Montana is with Tom Brady. And maybe
okay.
John Elway.
But at the end of the day, I think he's a good quarterback. I think they've got great firepower on offense and a good defense. And, I think that's going to give them the edge in this game and allow them to win this.
All right, Matt?
If Tyler Eifert was there, I'd be totally with you guys on this because I think the Bengals roster.
Yeah, we got Ryan Hewitt. Dang near as good as Eifert.
I don't know.
Plus you got Tyler Croft. You got upgrades at wide receivers from last year. I think
upgrades.
Boyd,
I don't know.
Yeah, Boyd and Erickson will do better than them. Sanu and Jones were guys that caught 30 passes a year, maybe 40.
They were both good last year. I don't know. Roster-wise, I would agree. I think the Bengals would probably end up better than the Jets. But on the road, without Tyler Eifert, I think the Jets can pull this one out. I think this is one of the top 2 or 3 games of the week to watch. I think I like the Jets to win by a field goal in this game.
See, that's what he does all the time, Brian. But next game, Brian, we got Green Bay at Jacksonville, which could be an interesting game.
Yeah, I think it could be, and I so desperately want this to be my upset special of the week, but I just can't go against Green Bay. As much as I want to sit here and go on the ledge and say, Jacksonville can win this game, I got to go with Green Bay. again, the Aaron Rodgers factor and just, I still think Jacksonville is going to be a very, very improved team. They've continued to get better, but and I gotta go with Green Bay.
Matt?
If they hadn't released Josh Sitton, I would agree. I think Green Bay would win by a field goal. I think the offensive line factor this week on the road, Aaron Rodgers is he's going to be playing behind a makeshift offensive line for quite a while, for most of the year. I think they're going to really have problems on the offensive line getting rid of Josh Sitton. They don't have an adequate replacement for him. Their offense is now going to take a step backwards, and I don't think they improved on defense in the offseason. I think they got worse. If you look at the Packers from last year to this year, as always, they are now going to be depending on rookies to take them over the top, and it only worked. It worked 1 year. I don't see it working this year, but this week on the road in Jacksonville, Jacksonville's a good team. I think they're going to be able to get after Aaron Rodgers. Now, their offensive line, I think, is also going to be giving up some sacks as well. Bortles is probably going to get hit a little bit as well. But I'm going to take Jacksonville in an upset, 3 points.
I don't really think it's an upset. I think this game's a toss-up. I mean, because both teams have terrible offensive lines. The Jaguars have more firepower, but Green Bay has the better quarterback. Jordy Nelson's back. I'm going to go with Green Bay, and I would like to put a flyer on this. Matt will constantly talk bad about the Packers and the Bengals, so it's just the way he is. Yeah, he will. He always does. He hates them.
You don't talk good about the Steelers and the 49ers.
I have said good things about the Steelers before, have I not, Brian?
Yeah, you
I
have.
make fun of their fans, but I have nothing but the utmost. I mean, have you ever seen me post anything derogatory?
I just said your team had a very good roster. I gave respect.
And see, I will make fun of the 49ers because they flat out suck, and it's funny. Now, if they didn't flat out suck and it wasn't funny, then I would talk nicer about them, but they're terrible. Miami at Seattle. Well, I would be kind of stupid to not pick Seattle, so I'm going to pick Seattle because I don't want to be kind of stupid. Brian, do you want to be stupid?
I got to go with Seattle, and it was a sidebar to this, having lived in Washington up until the Seattle fans are crazier than and people give credit for. So I can see why that stadium is extremely loud. But I think Miami's going to get in that stadium. It's going to get loud, and Seattle's got talent. I don't know if this is going to be a close game. So got to go with Seattle.
All right, Matt.
I'm not sure Miami's going to score in this game. I mean, they might get 3 points. That's about it. I think Seattle runs away with this game. Home opener, even if they've got some struggles on the line and at running back right now, just because of the uncertainty with Thomas Rawls, I don't think there's any way they don't put up at least 28 points. It's going to be a blowout. There's just no way Miami's going to be able to compete in this game. Tannehill's going to get killed.
All right, Brian. Giants at the Cowboys.
Oh.
Which is another good one.
Yeah, and I think this will be, my whole thing is I just have a hard time always seeing Cowboy games. Now I live here in Texas, and it's worse. So, but I'm going to go with the Giants in this one. I think in the end, Dak Prescott, I think is going to be a good quarterback. But what people have to realize is in the preseason, he's seeing very vanilla defenses. Now he's going to come out and see a lot more coverages, a lot more blitzes, a lot more zone blitzes. He's going to see a lot more things than he saw, and I think he's going to struggle somewhat. I think once he sees these things and develops, I think he'll get better. But week one, I got to go with the New York Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants are a team that can surprise people this year. I think defensively they're going to be a little bit better, which they have to be because you can't be any worse. And if they were worse, they'd be the New Orleans Saints defense. So I'm going to say the Giants win this game in a close game. I like Dak Prescott. I think he'll play well. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to play well. I think this is a game that could be in the high 30s or even the 40s because I don't think either team's going to be able to stop the other one. but I'm going to take Eli Manning over a rookie on opening day. What do you think, Matt?
Yep, I have the same opinion. I think Eli Manning is the better quarterback, especially at this point. You know, the Giants do have an upgraded defense. I don't think they're going to be a great defense, but I think it's going to be better than what it was. And it's just going to be a question mark of how good the coaching staff's going to be, and you know, can they put it together? But I like the Giants to win this game by a touchdown.
Alrighty, Matt, the Detroit Lions at the Indianapolis Colts. Not a good matchup.
Not the greatest matchup. I don't think either team really has a defense. I think the Colts may have a better offense. I like the
but on
Colts
the bright
receivers.
side, they don't have any defenses, but they also don't have offensive lines.
Yeah. Colts
so the defenses
offensive
might
line
look better.
I think the Colts offensive line is going to be better than most think. I think getting Ryan Kelly at center is going to help. They drafted two guards in the mid rounds that look like at least one of them is going to start. They
but
look
it's
like
hard to depend on rookies, especially at center.
I agree. I don't think it's going to be. They're not going to be one of the top lines in the league. But I think there's a good chance that their line's going to be at least better than last year, and which will help because Andrew Luck, let's face it, got just no protection last year. If he just gets a little bit more time with all the receivers they got, he ought to do well. Thing is, though, they just don't have any defense. I think they're going to struggle to win that division. But week one against the Lions, I like the Colts to win this at home. I just don't think the Lions have enough. They've got a few receivers, but I think Stafford's going to be a little. He needs to be a little shell-shocked without being able to throw to Calvin Johnson.
All right, Brian.
I got to go with Indianapolis as well. I just think that there's enough there for them to beat Detroit. Now I agree. I don't know that Indianapolis is going to have a great year, but I'm pretty sure betting the house Detroit's not going to have a great year. So I think Indianapolis is a little bit better, and I think Andrew Luck will get enough time to hit the weapons. And I agree with Stafford. I mean, you go from having Calvin Johnson to throw to, now you're looking around going, who do I throw to?
He's got Marvin Jones.
I understand, but
who
would you rather throw it to?
I'd rather throw to Marvin Jones because he's still playing. Calvin Johnson's probably just sitting around watching TV all the time, eating.
I would rather throw it to Calvin Johnson sitting around TV eating, but that's just me. So
it'll be out of bounds. Duh. I've never seen a recliner and a TV in the middle of a football field. I'm going to go with Indianapolis also. I think both teams are not very good, but Andrew Luck's very good, and I think he's better than Matthew Stafford, and he's got weapons. I'm going with the Colts. That brings us to a couple very good games. New England at Arizona. No Tom Brady. Jimmy Garoppolo will be in from Eastern Illinois. I like Garoppolo. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but season opening game in Arizona, Carson Palmer is atrocious in the playoffs. But the earlier in the season you go, the better he is. So he will have a Hall of Fame performance probably in this game. So I'm going to go with Arizona to win the game. Brian?
I've got to go with Arizona too. And the biggest thing is, when you take a young quarterback and let's be honest, everybody's going to talk about Tom Brady not playing. The lights are going to be bright on him. It's a prime time game. And everybody's going to be talking about New England, but one thing people, are not going to talk about is just how good Arizona is. And as you said, Carson Palmer, the earlier you have to play him, the better he is. And so I got to go with Arizona in this one. But I do agree. I think that, I think New England's going to be just fine without Brady for the first, 4 weeks. So I think they'll be just fine. I think they'll be, 3-1, 2-2, and then when he comes back, they may not lose a game.
Oh, right. Well, they will because they got to play the Bengals, I think, week 6 or so. But, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going with Arizona as well. I think they're the most complete team in the NFC. Like you said, early in the season, that's when Carson Palmer's at his very best. I just like the defense very much. I really like what they have going over there. I think it's a great secondary. Only Seattle's is probably better, but it's a very deep secondary. It's complete.
I don't know that Seattle's is better because I don't think there's too many DBs better than Tyrone Matthew or Patrick Peterson.
Agree, but you got Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman and then Cam Chancellor. It's at least even, but I like their front seven. I think they upgraded their offensive line, getting Evan Mathis off of Denver, and you got 4 really good receivers, a couple good running backs, and David Johnson could be one of the breakout players of the league. I think Arizona's going to win this. I don't know that. I think this is probably Garoppolo's only loss in the 4 games. I think they're probably going to be 3-1. But everyone will talk about New England's going to struggle, blah blah blah. They'll lose this game, but they might go 14-2.
All right, that brings us to who's up next. That would be Brian. You are picking the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Washington Redskins with unbiased clarity.
Absolutely, unbiased clarity. As I said on my Steeler Weekly show that you can hear right here on The Grueling Truth, this is an important game for Pittsburgh. And where it's important is obviously on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary. As the year went on, they improved, but this was a secondary that, while the defense got a lot of turnovers when they had to play good quarterbacks, and especially teams that had good quarterbacks, good tight ends, things like that, they struggled. They've got to come out of the gate and really establish that they're going to be a good defense for this team to be a Super Bowl contender. And I feel good that I think they will. And I think, you got Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback. You get a guy that's been an unbelievable quarterback. D'Angelo Williams. You got Antonio Brown. There's a lot of firepower there, and you got a very good offensive line. So I believe that they'll score some points against a suspect Washington defense, and Steelers are going to come out on top.
All right, Matt.
I think this is going to be an ugly game, but I think the Steelers are going to win. I'm going to say like 18-16.
Okay, Matt. All right. Is that all you had to say about the game, Matt?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I think it's going to be an ugly game, but I think Pittsburgh will pull it out.
All right. I'm going to go with Washington because I think Washington is a good team. I think they've got a tight end. They've got wide receivers. They got a good quarterback. I think they're going to be able to put points up. It's kind of like the Tampa Bay Atlanta. I think Pittsburgh will have a better season than Washington. Not really saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying you're playing at Washington. Season opening game on a Monday night. I think Washington's going to be jacked up. I think Pittsburgh, I think not having your tight end is going to really hurt your offense. I mean, you can only throw the ball deep so much. I mean, you can double team people a lot easier without the tight end there. And, I mean, who is the tight end now, Brian?
Jesse James, second-year player out of Penn State.
Who died in, like, 1872. So.
or is building motorcycles out in California. So.
I would rather go with the one that robbed stagecoaches.
Well,
in Missouri.
You see some of the motorcycles he built. It's pretty good, but
Yeah, but I'm more impressed with the outlaw that robs stagecoaches.
Yeah, well, I'm more impressed with. And I agree. I think the tight end situation is something that we're going to find out. But I also feel like Pittsburgh is going to use more 4 receiver sets because, quite honestly, I mean, they've got 4 very good receivers.
Well, they're going to have to. Plus, they've got 4 receivers. But also, they're missing Martavius Bryant, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Le'Veon Bell.
Yep, but you've got D'Angelo Williams, who, I mean, showed what he can do.
But Brian, come on. You got D'Angelo Williams. I would much rather have Le'Veon Bell.
Absolutely.
Agree.
But you know what?
I think Williams can have a good game this game.
I do, too. And what you have to understand is, I'd rather have Bell, but you know what? If you don't have Bell, man, I will take D'Angelo Williams. And, the one thing is, people talk about Antonio Brown, but what they really fail to talk about is just good how good Wheaton has become. I think Coach is really primed to have a breakout year, and the Steelers receivers over the years, it seems like every couple of years, the guys have that breakout year. Wheaton last year was very good. Coach this year I think they're good, and they just it's almost kind of like the Steelers have become the NFL, receiver U kind of thing, in college. They just seem to churn out great receivers, and I think you're going to see that, and that's why I think you'll see more 4 receiver sets. So I got to go with Pittsburgh. I think that they're a better team than Washington. I think this is a game they'll win.
Yeah, I think it'll be more like a 34-31 game. Because I don't think either team's really going to be able to stop the other one.
I feel like it's 28-24 kind of deal. I think.
Yeah, so you pretty much agree with me. You just didn't really want to say it.
Yeah, Pittsburgh will get some turnovers, and as I said, I think their secondary is going to be better. We're going to find out how much better because if they get torched in this one, then I remember last year opening up New England and then just watching the secondary. It was bad. So I really hope that they're going to be better, and I think they will be.
All right, so that brings us to a point where I would usually say we've saved the best for last. But obviously we haven't because the last game are the Los Angeles Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. Matt?
I think it's a winnable game for both teams. It's not really kind of an ugly game, but I think the Niners got enough to win this game. I'm going to take the Niners by 3.
All righty, Brian?
This is going to be an ugly game.
See, it's not just me. We didn't plan this out.
No, boy, I hope.
I didn't say it was a pretty game either.
I really hope there's something else on TV at this point because I don't know if I can watch this. But
maybe Jesse James will be on building motorcycles.
I would rather watch that. I think I'd rather watch paint dry. But I got to. I got to go. I got to go with San Francisco in this, and I can't even give you a good reason why.
They're at home.
They're at home. We'll go with that because I don't even have a good reason why.
I have a lot of reasons for why I'll pick this game the way I pick it.
Oh, please give some reasons because I got none.
I don't really have a lot, but I would take Case Keenum over Blaine Gabbert. I would take a 6-pack of Pop over Blaine Gabbert. I would take Todd Gurley over Carlos Hyde, but not by as much as most people would think. I think the Niners have a slightly better offensive line. I think defensively they both have some players, but I don't think they have enough players to be great defenses. So I'm just going to go with the team that I think has a slight edge at quarterback and running back. That's the Rams. And I think the Rams win this game 3-0.
3-0. Oh, God.
3-2. How about that? 3-2. That way you don't get shut out. I think it's a 3-2 game. I think it's a toss-up. I was going to flip a coin, but
the Rams hit a 3-run homer, and San Francisco hits a 2-run homer.
I just like Eric Dickerson better than Joe Montana. Is the main reason I'm picking the Rams over the Niners. Plus, Fred Dreyer was on our show, and he's a Ram. Of course, Roger Craig was on our show, and he was a Niner.
And Randy Cross.
But we also had Roman Gabriel and Eddie Metter and Tony Hunter and Buford McGee. We just had a lot more Rams. So I'm going with the Rams. Actually, since we had 5 or 6 Rams on the show, how many Niners did we have? We've had like 4 or 5.
Dexter Carter, Steve Wallace, Randy Cross.
All right, well, let's call it a 6-6 tie in overtime.
It's pretty
both
close.
Both teams will score a touchdown but miss the extra point.
George Visger. Yeah, I forgot about George. Yeah.
And I'm not even thinking about Rams anymore because I really don't want to think about this game anymore. So I'm sticking with 3-0 Rams. And then everybody in L.A. will be jacked up because they got an undefeated football team. But we all know the Rams are really Cleveland's team anyways because they had them first.
It's true.
I just figured I'd bring that up. But, all right, guys, make sure you check us out every Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day this is. Next week we will have at least one former NFL player, probably 2. Might have to replace Matt after he gets done watching that Niners game because that can't make you want to watch football anymore. Yeah, you might be. I'm gonna watch it because it's on at 10:30 at night, and I figure middle to first quarter I'm out. It's kind of how I do baseball.
You know, that was the best idea you've had in years. I think I will watch it just for
I
the fact that
don't think so. I think playing Super Tecmo Bowl at 3 o'clock in the morning was.
Well, yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
That's always a good idea.
We can't talk about that. Not the way we did it, but it's complicated. But, Brian, do you have any final words?
Well, my final words are this. It's going to be a great start to the season. Definitely I'm excited. I'm excited for Monday. I'm excited for a Steeler game, but I'm also excited for quite a few of the games on Sunday. This is a great time of season. We talked about this on the show that everybody can listen to, our Steeler Weekly show.
Yes, tell us about the Steeler Weekly show and who your co-host is.
Steeler Weekly show, my co-host is former Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver Dwight Stone. We did our first show tonight. It'll be out probably tomorrow, I would imagine. And, it was a great show. And just the excitement, you get to this point, and every year I always think, I'm going to be less excited about the start of the season. And every year it just seems like I'm just as excited as I've always been. This is just a great time of year. And college football started last week, and now the NFL started now. And it's just exciting when the season starts, and I can't wait for Sunday. Obviously Thursday we've got Thursday game, but I'm really looking forward to Sunday because I like to be able to watch all the games and flip channels and be able to enjoy football. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, same here. I love this time of year. I love the start of the new season, and it's going to be a fun year.
All right, Matt, that was quick.
I'm supposed to go into a dissertation.
I was used to Oz on the CFL Weekly Pick'em Show, which you can hear with myself, Brian, Oz Davis, and, Robert Drummond every Monday night. So make sure you check out the CFL Pick'em Show. Also, we have a new show that will be out in the next day or two, the Fighting Irish Weekly, a look at Notre Dame football with former Irish legend Tony Hunter and Josh Benjamin. Also, Tony will be doing a L.A. Rams show with Oz Davis. We'll have an Indianapolis Colts Weekly show coming up you guys can listen to also. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals show with myself and former Bengal Joe Kelly. We had Bengals cornerback Darius Hillary on the show tonight. You can check us out every week. We will have either a former or a current Bengal player on that show. If you're a baseball fan, make sure you check out Graham McCowan and Chris Fury on Out of Left Field. Every weekend that show is on. We've also got the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL show with Oz Davis and Joe Pritchard. And, of course, we've got the Game Day IQ of Chris Cook and Alan Buck. So make sure you check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. And remember, you can check us out on iHeart, iTunes, TuneIn, Google. I'm tired of saying all this stuff, Matt. It's just wherever you find podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So make sure you check us out next week where we will review Matt's 49ers Rams Classic. And also I'll get to make fun of Brian since he's laughing now because the Redskins are going to whoop the Steelers' ass. But so make sure you check us out next week. But for now, for Brian Schmidt, Matt Andruscavage, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.